Start. Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, this is SCORE Cleveland. My name is Dan Uhrman. I'm a SCORE mentor. I'm here with Dave Lupien, who will be the presenter. And this is New Product Development, Session 2. And Dave, take it away.
Thanks, Dan. I'm going to share my screen. And I hope all of you can see that. And I'll maximize it. And welcome to SCORE Cleveland's second installment of our three-part series on new product development. And today we're going to cover the development part. So you thought of your idea, and now we're going to execute it. But let's say a few words first. I'm going to talk about SCORE, just a few slides, just give you an overview of who we are and what we're all about. We are a service organization to small business. We are a division of the Small Business Administration, the SBA, and we are a team of about 90 volunteers throughout Northeast Ohio to assist, advise, and counsel small businesses and entrepreneurs on their journey to wealth. So our work is for free at no charge. As a result of our relationships with several key partners and the SBA, we are able to offer these services at no charge through our volunteers. In Northeast Ohio, we're very proud of what we've done to strengthen certainly Northeast Ohio's economy. Within the last year, we've started about 230 new businesses, which equates to about 900 total jobs. As you see there, we've provided over 8,000 services. These services are everything from mentoring sessions to webinars, such as the one we're listening to now. Our geographic range covers everything in the Northeast Ohio 7-county area, all the way west to Huron, and all the way west to east to Ashtabula. As a result of our efforts, we're very proud of the fact that in 2022 we were named Chapter of the Year out of 240 chapters across the United States. We were number one in all of our services and all of our metrics that rates our services according to Standard & Poor's audit. All right, so here's our web page landing site. And for those of you who would like a mentor, as you can see, the top left link there, find a mentor. Just click that and fill out a short questionnaire, and you'll get hooked up with a mentor almost immediately and be contacted within 48 hours. Excuse me. So let's talk about part 2 and turning your idea into a product. So what we're going to do today is talk about a little bit about customer discovery. I want to dive deeper into this and show you how important it is and some of the benefits that can be arrived at. We're going to establish our minimum viable product through customer discovery. We're going to start a company. I'm going to start the Dave's Scented Soap Company. And I'm going to go through all the steps necessary to get my product to a manufacturing step and start building inventory so I can start selling the product. We'll talk about how to manufacture this product. Now, this is a physical product, but you can also apply the same steps to services or apps or anything related to a new entity, a new commercializable entity. The acronyms that you see there, some of you may know what those mean. For those of you who don't know what they mean, well, you've come to the right place because BOM is bill of materials and COGS is cost of goods. And we'll be talking about these as we go through our slides and why these are important. Startup money. Here is everything. This is probably the most requested question I get uh, is where can I find the money to move my idea into a prototype? But more importantly is once I have the prototype made and I'm ready for market, how much money can I make? And oh, by the way, as a side note regarding any questions, put them in the chat box. And what we'll do is after the presentation, we'll review each question one by one. So, and I'll also talk about a pre-launch checklist. Through my experiences, I've seen so many things forgotten, and I'll pass some hints and tips on to you also. So let's talk about customer discovery. Some of you may know, we talked about this last time, and this is about talking to potential customers because what we want to do at the end of our um, uh, uh, query phase is to finalize our value proposition. And we also want to finalize our features and benefits. So at the end of the customer discovery, we're looking at our minimum viable product, which ultimately can be for sale. So, as I said last time, when you talk to 20 potential customers, it can be 10 customers, it can be 15, but you want to get to a point where you're getting the same answer over and over again. Well, what kind of questions shall I ask? Well, let's talk about uh, the initial prologue to all of these questions. We want to start with current state. What are you doing and how are you doing it, basically? We want to uncover any problems. And more importantly, we want to know if solving this problem would benefit you or the customers. Because as we talked about last time, we may think it is a problem, but it is not really a problem until others believe it is a problem also. And then, the top right there, I have an example of two ladies who are considering opening a health food restaurant in a certain neighborhood. And they're just visiting other restaurants just to talk through some concepts and some ideas. So my one slide there is out of order, but let's talk about some typical customer discovery questions. For example, well, let's go back here. I'm going to start a scented soap company, as you see there. It's a specialty soap company using exotic fragrances from South Asia. That is my value proposition. I'm sorry, these slides aren't out of order. This was a last minute addition this morning as an example. So again, I'm talking about forming a company called Dave's Scented Soap Company. It is a specialty soap company, and my secret sauce is special exotic fragrances from Southern Asia. So I want to find people who I think would buy this product and ask some questions. For example, what type of hand soaps do you prefer? Who do you buy, or why do you buy this particular type of hand soap? Now, it could be anything. It could be, oh, I use antibacterial soaps only, for example, or I buy the cheapest soap I can find at Giant Eagle. Those are all fair responses. What is an example of a hand soap that you are dissatisfied with? Do the cheap hand soaps not foam up very well? Do they leave your hands dry? Um, I'm probing for problems here, but I'm not telling them my secret sauce that I'm using exotic fragrances and high foam to give you a luxury feel. I'm just probing around, asking some um, uh, current state questions. So I want to get into fragrances and scents. Is it really important to you? Is a luxury experience important to you? In anything that you do, whether it be cooking, whether it be washing your hands, whether it be washing your car. If a luxury soap product were available, then would you buy it? And lastly, I want to know what your purchase frequency is. So there again, there's 7 questions. I'm just probing a target demographic customer that I believe would buy a luxury soap. So after you've completed the customer discovery phase, you're going to finalize your benefits and your features. Now, remember, the benefit again is how your product or service will improve the experience of your customer. The feature is the physical or design characteristics, color, size, color, weight, etc. All right. So I want to understand my competition or your competition. Before I go to market with my soap, I want to know what's my niche? Where do I fit? There are so many soaps out there on the shelf. Uh, they're fancy, they're high end, and they're low cost. So where am I going to be? I got to do a competitive survey. So here's an actual competitive survey I've done with one of my clients. She was doing a project in herbal teas. She had developed her own herbal tea, but as you probably know, there are hundreds of herbal teas on the market, and we have to find out where we fit in terms of price and value proposition. I say start with a spreadsheet. As you can see there on the upper right-hand corner is a typical spreadsheet. You start making columns and rows, the name of competitive product in a column, then we'll go right across. The Republic of Tea, for example, they have 50 tea bags for $13.99. They're only a breakfast tea, etc. So you can go down and each one of those products have their own price, their own value proposition. And it seems like the number of tea bags seems to be a differentiator there versus price. So in this particular example, teas can give you an idea as to how you would fit into the category of herbal teas. Excuse me. Now let's talk about building my prototype, which is a scented luxury soap. There's a package I'm going to consider. It's a 12 ounce little, or could be 16 ounce, and it's got a pump dispenser. So I have three components there to worry about. A pump dispenser I got to find somewhere, a jar with a screw cap for the dispenser, and the scent and fragrances. I got to find suppliers for those components. Um, helping me build my prototype or helping you build your prototype, you can go to a number of resources here in Northeast Ohio. ThinkBox, for example, at Case Western Reserve is excellent for mechanical, electrical. LaunchNet at Kent State is available for those in our southern geographies, in Medina, Portage, Kent area. We have something here called Magnet, which is a manufacturing advisory group located in Midtown area. They are excellent in terms of, again, mechanical and electrical and even some cyber engineering capabilities. I would highly advise their advantage is that they can connect you to a potential manufacturer once you scale your process or your product to higher volumes. There are some Northeast Ohio design houses that you may want to consider for those of you who need blueprints and CAD drawings. Cardboard helicopter, smart shape design, Landy design. We even have a balance design. There are many scattered throughout Northeast Ohio, the Cleveland area. I only have three there, but I could fill a slide up with potential design houses. Some of them specialize in biomedical. Some of them specialize in household. Some of them specialize in automotive. So you can vet them based on their core competency. But for me, I'm going to be in my kitchen. I might even go into my garage or basement because what I need is basic mixing capabilities. And I know plenty of people who are startups in personal care and household products, cosmetics that are just simply using their own basement or kitchen to make small batches and then get these small batches into packages, which then are available for sale. So my plan is I'm going to start manufacturing in my kitchen until I get too many orders to fill. Then at that point, I'll find a contract manufacturer to make the soap for me. So a contract manufacturer, what is a contract manufacturer? It's basically exactly as it says, a factory that works under a contract to manufacture your product. The hint would be the factory should already be making products similar to what you want. That way, they can easily integrate it into production. A lot of hassle, not a lot of things to worry about. You just have to show up with your bill of materials, your blueprints or diagrams, and then you can begin a discussion with them immediately. So finding a contract manufacturer, step one. The very first thing you have to do is develop your bill of materials. Now, a bill of materials is a document which just describes what the product needs to be manufactured. Where do you find that material? How much does it cost? And how much of it do you need? Step one. If you want to find a contract manufacturer, again, one of the best ways I do it is by looking at trade magazine advertisements. You can look in, it doesn't matter if it's chainsaws or soaps or computer software, or anything that is a physical product. Maybe not computer software actually, but a physical product has a trade magazine. Look in that trade magazine. There's advertising for contract manufacturers and folks who would take your product to market. Okay, so working with a contract manufacturer, some hints, start local if you can. As I said earlier, find an existing manufacturer that makes a product similar to what you have because it's just simply easier. You must develop a quality control process for your product. And to do that, when you are local, you can actually get in the factory, walk around, talk to folks, touch, see, and feel the process, and learn how they scale your product up, how they make it in mass. Um, Again, a contract manufacturer allows you to develop a network and form important relationships. So when I want to get out of my kitchen, I'm not going to be making 50 cases in my kitchen of my specialty soap. It's just too much. It takes too long. I don't want to do that. I'm going to have to pay somebody to do that. But in so doing, I can develop a network and form important relationships outside of my home with that contract manufacturer, maybe to even get me some new customers. So before you get to that contract manufacturer and start making phone calls, you want to finalize your bill of materials, and that will be your baseline for establishing your cost of goods. The cost of goods is again, using a spreadsheet to develop your unit cost once you understand your labor, your overhead, and your burden costs, which is an accounting term that the manufacturer would use to incorporate into your final cost number. Here's an example of the bill of materials. As I said, it's a simple spreadsheet of material, where I buy it from, the contact info of that company, the price per pound. Now, I'm going to use everything in pounds for my soap, and I'm going to make 5-gallon batches. So the contract manufacturer would see this and say, well, if you want to make a 50-gallon batch, I'm just going to multiply everything times 10. So it becomes easy peasy for everyone. A lot of, there's no hassle, no sweat. Those numbers just will work out really nicely. So knowing my bill of materials and knowing how much I need to make 1 or 5 gallons, I'm going to do everything in pounds to make these 5 gallons. I'll convert later. I can go either way, gallons to pounds or pounds to gallons. But my price per pound I need 1 pound of my Acme soap to give me the necessary volume in 5 gallons. And I add those numbers up. And so to produce 5 gallons of my soap costs $3.65. If I want to price this per ounce, I just divide by 128 ounces in a gallon, and I can find out how many uh, the cost per ounce, and then translate that into a 5 ounce package, a 10 ounce package, etc. So what we have in summary right now is my bill of materials, my cost of goods to give me a unit cost. That is the accounting pathway that I will use in all of my work with Dave's Soap Company to get me a unit cost. And then I have to put a price on that cost, and that'll tell me how much money I will make. So establishing your cost, again, bill of materials, cost of goods, the unit cost, um, then plus the labor and overhead that you will get from your contract manufacturer. Now, remember, I'm not in my kitchen. I'm paying somebody to do this for me. So my unit cost plus my labor and overhead will give me my final cost. So that final cost, 16-ounce bottle I'm going to choose. I have my formula. I've converted my bottle, my pump dispenser. So the total cost of that one unit sitting to our right is $4.02. I'm going to then put a price on that. So I'll know how much money I can make at this point. I'm going to call it, I'm going to say $8.95 will be the cost of my product. I have to calculate my gross margin. The gross margin is important because if you talk to anybody about borrowing money, about having venture investment in your company, first thing they'll ask is, what kind of business do you have? What is your gross margin? For me, in my soap, my selling price minus my standard cost divided by my selling price gives me my gross margin, which is, you can see there in the example, is 55%. So people say, well, is 55% a good gross margin? Yeah, it's very good. Most of the consumer products that you see on the shelf are there and priced based on their ability to produce volume, that are translated as faster moving consumer goods, usually have lower gross margins of about 20%. Because they move very, very fast. You're continually buying them, like toothpaste, like soaps, some dial soap, for example. My soap, on the other hand, is a specialty luxury soap, so I'm going to price it a little higher, and 55% gross margin for a product on the shelf is really, really good. So just some other little mathy terms. We've talked about our gross margin. It's different than the net margin. The net margin is the costs that you have to incur to ship, to advertise, and all things that are variable, that are not fixed, that becomes a part of your net margin calculation. So that tells you at the end of the day how much money is in the product selling price. The profit, of course, is what you take home after taxes. So let's go back a little bit and talk about the beta test, because what we're doing in our beta test is focus grouping it, where we would invest in some kind of focus group to give us the best information possible to develop our MVP. It's after the alpha test. We use the term alpha test because that is where our friends and family can try the product. We can fail here very conveniently and repeat the process of making it better and improving it as often as necessary. So once we have our minimum viable product, we want to practice selling it. We want to get out there, establishing our ability to get in front of customers, develop our website, start talking to anybody who can be a decision maker and give us a PO. We can practice processing a PO. We can practice, getting inventory produced from our contract manufacturer, having that inventory uh, uh, in a warehouse and shipping that to a customer site. So at this point, you're probably saying, "Oh my goodness, there's so much to do as a single entrepreneur." Look, just look at this product design, supply chain. Do I have a patent? Should I worry about getting a patent? What are my costs? Should I do consumer insights? Is Amazon a possibility as a customer? Should I go to retail? Website development, so many things to worry about. Well, at this point, what you want to do is develop a Gantt chart. And that just simply is a list of all of your activities. Excuse me. And then across, just put dates down, months that this will be completed, or in weeks. I have to do a consumer insight study because I have to develop a marketing message. Well, I can't develop a marketing message if I don't do some kind of consumer insight. So that comes before, and I want to complete that, then develop my marketing message. The final design sign off, again, it has to be after my marketing message is developed. My product packaging, of course, then comes next. I have to finalize my supply chain, work with my contract manufacturer and establish my final cost of goods. So everything comes in order according to a plan that I make beforehand. All right, so some things that we have to be concerned about. Do I have my 4 Ps before I launch? The price, positioning, product, and promotion. That comes right out of Marketing 101. Have I adequately estimated my cost and my sales potential? The accountants call this a pro forma estimation. So you should have an idea as to how much money I can make by how many units I can sell initially. I want to have a plan to lower my cost over time. Now, my 55% gross margin can easily be increased to 60, 65%. Maybe if I just think about better planning, or maybe I find another contract manufacturer. But I want to lower my costs so I can make more money the more units that I produce. I should have a quality control document before I walk into the contract manufacturer, because that's what he'll ask for. Do I make the product this way, or can I take a shortcut and make it this way? You don't want the shortcut. You want the product to be made exactly as you've made it in your kitchen or as I've made it in my kitchen. So the regulatory and compliance issues. Every product, whether it be mechanical or chemical or biomedical, has compliance issues. Even software apps must comply to the Google Store requirements, for example. You should be aware of all of these early in the process. And lastly, the question I get is, should I make product, then go out and sell it? Or should I build inventory first? Or should I sell first, create demand, then make inventory? So the answer to that is it depends on your ability to make the product quickly. If you can produce quickly within days and get it to your customer, I would definitely get the demand first, then supply the inventory. If it takes 6 weeks to make inventory, then you probably have to build something in inventory in the warehouse and have it available for shipping as you're selling the product. So it really depends on your ability to quickly produce and manufacture the product. So let's talk about finding money and financing. Excuse me. A lot of folks I know use credit cards. There's nothing wrong with that. The downside, of course, is you have to pay that balance off every month. But if you're making sales and if you are producing some kind of revenue, a credit card um, has an advantage because of all the perks one could get in travel and rental cars, hotels, things of that sort. Quite attractive, some of them. Bank loans, lines of credit. Again, if you have monthly sales, excuse me, always an advantage in getting a line of credit. Because working with a bank would they need to see that income coming in. The SBA loan. Typical loans are between $1,000 and $150,000 based on the rate of interest. So sometimes they can be very competitive. For small businesses with approximately less than $1 million in sales revenue, it's probably an ideal way to go. Your credit score, the FICO score minimum of around 580 is most is most desired with banks. There are some non-bank loan sources that you can look at. There's a firm in town called Growth Capital. Uh, your score mentor could easily hook you up with Growth Capital. They specifically look at small businesses within Cuyahoga County that have the ability to grow and scale, and they are very good to work with, and I would advise them um, as a source. The SBA, I can again talk 3 or 4 slides here, but I'll just give you a real quick overview. You must develop a business plan for an SBA loan. Your credit score, you should not have any major issues there. Uh, the banks really look at the 5 Cs in your business plan. The character of the people who are doing the business plan is, of course, important. They will do a background check. Capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions are the 5 Cs. And again, I'm not going to talk at length here, but you can get a good feel for some of the issues that are needed in an SBA loan situation. Once given the thumbs up, the bank will move on to phase 2. You must supply 3 years of your W-2s. Um, could be from your current employment or anything that proves that you do have an income. And secondly, projections of business growth. What is your plan for business growth? What is your plan for scaling so that you can receive monthly income that can pay back the loan over time? Huntington Bank here in the city by far is the #1 small business administration lender. Key Bank is a distant second. That each one of those banks, again, are in the top 5. Excuse me, but Huntington Bank by far is the #1 in this area. And SCORE works with all of the banks. We will help you write your business plan. We will help you go through the process of applying for not necessarily an SBA loan, but any loan with any bank. So I talked about SCORE. If you have to get smart quick, there are some really good sources here in Cleveland that can help you really understand business. You don't need an MBA to be a success in business, but you do have to know the right people. And you can start with SCORE, but Magnet, for example, is excellent at executing beginning concepts. Again, that is, you pay per monthly with some of these folks. Very reasonable, a few $100s per month will get you involved in a program that will sharpen your skills in any number of areas. Jumpstart has something called an impact program focused on small businesses, inner city businesses, for example. They will work with you, bring you along with the skill sets that you need to approach lenders, venture capitalists, and eventually begin scaling once you have revenue. Recommend Goldman Sachs. They work with Tri-C here in the city. They're excellent at taking your concept, working with you. You must have sales. You must have some kind of revenue coming in. And these folks will use the Tri-C resources and Goldman Sachs experts in bringing your business along and having it grow. Some other free help that you can see right there. For those of you who would like these slides after the presentation, a number of sources there. I just have their phone numbers, but each one has a website also that will help you move your product along, and it's free. All of these are free sources. So in conclusion, this is our website, our landing page. Please go to it, find a mentor. Some of these things that I've talked about this afternoon are very surface. You need really a strong deep dive into some of these areas, and SCORE can certainly help you with that. So next week at this time, we'll talk about generating sales. We already have our product, Dave Scented Soap. We're going to talk about getting this into customers' hands and actually making some money. So if there are questions out there, please put them in the Q&A or the chat, and I'll answer them one by one. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Boy, last time we had about a dozen questions. Oh, here's one. I messaged with you on part 1, and you said to connect with you through SCORE, but it says you're not accepting at the time. I am. I wonder how that message got across. No, Stacy, please request me through SCORE. And Dan, if you see that, maybe we can talk to the client assignment team and see what went wrong there. Yeah, Stacy, we'll check into that for you. Okay. Check your profile and engage. I attended last week's webinar and did not receive the link for the slides where can I get those last slides? Yeah, Dan, D. Brown, we have to hook her up with the slides. And Frank, not related to this presentation, but in general, I have not received previous presentation. Well, I think we're being lax here. We have to get these out to everyone. Yeah, Stacy, I'd like to connect with you and see what your project is. Oh, okay. Then I have to find out where that box is and check it, so that I could get a direct request to me for some help. All right. Well, any other questions this afternoon? Well, for those of you who don't have a question, okay, Stacy, I would also appreciate slides from both presentations. Yes, of course. Thank you for attending, and okay. Yeah. Yeah, Dan is saying that please email to dan.yerman@scorevolunteer.org. All right. Oh, Latoya, when searching for a contract company, prototyping company that makes a similar product, does this put you at risk for having your product idea stolen by that company? That's a good question. Even if the NDA is signed, what are the risks when working with manufacturer in a foreign country such as China? What are your recommendations for the protection of? Okay, very good question. Very good question. The NDA is a executable document between the contract manufacturer and client, and it is usually 99% of the time it is sufficient in having your idea protected. Generally, if there is a problem, no company wants to get involved in litigation. And I have been a contract manufacturer and I have used contract manufacturers. And in my career, I've usually found them, not usually, I've 100% found them to be very honest, very reputable people who do not want your idea. They want your money. And they want to work with you as a partner and develop your product so they can have you as a customer. China, on the other hand, it's a different story. It doesn't matter if it's China or Mexico. You are always at risk in China. There's just no way around that. The best advice there is just to work with an agent that works to protect your interests. And those agents are locatable. They are in the United States and they're in China. Their whole mission in life is to ease the trade issues between our two countries, and they are paid very well for that. Anonymous attendee says, how do you prevent redesign of your product many times? How do you prevent redesign? Not quite sure I understand that, Anonymous. I assume you're referring to somebody copying your idea through trial and error. Could you be more specific? Excuse me. How do you prevent redesign of your product? I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Anonymous. If you could maybe connect with me offline or later through SCORE, we can talk further about that area, but don't really understand that. Any other questions?
This is
Okay,
Dan here. Normally, we automatically send the slides from each session to all attendees who stay with the session for its duration. If you drop off early, the system may not record your presence. If you missed it and you want the slides, no problem. I've posted my email address in the chat. And if you want the slides from session one, and you're still here for session two, you will get the slides automatically for session one. If you miss them, email me and I'll get them out to you. These are fairly large file. It's composed of PowerPoint slides. So you'll need to have Microsoft PowerPoint on your computer to read it, or if you don't, you can copy it onto a USB stick and go to your local library. They have free computers there, which has PowerPoint on it, and you can read it there. You can't read it on your personal machine. If there are no other questions, I want to thank Dave for a great presentation once again, and remind you that session 3 is next week, same time, same station. Look forward to seeing you there. I'm now going to end the session. Everybody have a good day. Thank you, Dave.